Happy learner, happy dream. The Cave Explorer. Here is a short story about a cave explorer who enters a dark cavern expecting danger at every turn, until he discovers that the journey changes when he becomes willing to learn without fear. At the foot of a mountain stood a cave called Echo Hollow. Its entrance was wide, but beyond the first few steps, the passage disappeared into darkness. A young explorer named Nico arrived wearing a helmet, carrying 3 lanterns, 2 maps, a compass, a rope, and a heavy book titled Everything That Can Go Wrong Underground. An experienced guide named Mara waited beside the entrance. "You brought a great deal," she said. "I like to be prepared." Mara lifted the heavy book. "Prepared to explore, or prepared to be afraid?" Nico frowned. "Caves are dangerous." "They can be," Mara replied, "but fear can make every stone look dangerous before you have even seen it." They entered. At first, the tunnel was smooth and wide. Water dripped gently from the ceiling. Then Nico heard a loud crack. He froze. "The cave is collapsing!" Mara raised her lantern. A small stone had fallen from a ledge. "That was the first warning," Nico said. "Or the first sound," Mara replied. They continued until the passage divided in 2. The left tunnel looked bright and easy. The right tunnel was narrow and dark. Nico opened his map. "The bright path must be correct." "Why?" Mara asked. "Because it looks better." They followed it for nearly an hour until it ended at a stone wall. Nico became angry. "The cave tricked us." "The cave offered a passage," Mara said. "You decided appearance meant destination." They returned to the fork. Nico stared at the narrow tunnel. "So the unpleasant path must be the right one." "Not necessarily." "Then how do we choose?" "We listen, examine, and allow the purpose of the journey to guide us." Mara knelt and noticed a cool current of air flowing from the darker passage. "The air is moving," she said. "That usually means there is an opening ahead." Nico placed the map inside his pack. They entered the narrow tunnel. The walls pressed close around them. Nico's breathing quickened. "This is going wrong." Mara stopped. "What is happening?" "The passage is tight. That is what is happening. Going wrong is what you added." Nico took a slow breath. "What should I tell myself?" "Nothing yet. First, let the moment be what it is." They moved forward slowly. Soon the passage opened into a magnificent cavern filled with crystal formations. Their lantern light scattered across the walls in blue, gold, and green. Nico stared in wonder. "I would never have come here if I trusted only what looked comfortable." Mara smiled. "A happy learner does not decide the lesson before receiving it." Farther inside, they reached an underground river. There was no bridge. Nico opened his book and read aloud, "Underground water may indicate flooding, falling, loss of direction, or death." Mara took the book gently and closed it. "Does it say anything about crossing safely?" Nico shook his head. "Then it is teaching fear, not guidance." They found a rope already secured to the cavern wall. Mara tested it carefully. "Someone prepared the way before us," she said. They crossed. On the other side, Nico noticed something carved into the stone. "Nothing here is wasted." "What does that mean?" he asked. "The wrong turn taught us not to judge by appearances. The narrow path taught us to separate fact from interpretation. The river taught us that help may already be present." So every part was a lesson. Every part became useful when we gave it a useful purpose. Deep inside the mountain, they found a vast chamber with an opening high above. Sunlight poured through it in a single golden beam. Nico sat beneath the light. "I thought being a good learner meant never making mistakes." "No," Mara said. "A happy learner is willing to be corrected without turning correction into punishment." "I also thought a happy dream meant everything would look pleasant." "A happy dream does not promise perfect scenery. It means fear is no longer the teacher interpreting every scene." Nico looked back at the tunnel behind them. The cave had not changed. There were still narrow passages, falling stones, wrong turns, and dark places, but it no longer felt like an enemy. On the journey out, Nico heard another crack. He paused, raised his lantern, and looked. A small stone rolled across the ground. He laughed. "What changed?" Mara asked. The sound stayed the same. The learner changed. When they returned to the entrance, Nico removed the heavy book from his pack. He did not throw it away. He tore out the useful pages about ropes, weather, and safety, then left behind the chapters that treated every unknown as disaster. Above his desk at home, he placed a stone from the crystal cavern and a small sign. "I do not need the lesson to look easy." I need only be willing to learn with the right guide. From then on, whenever life felt like a dark passage, Nico stopped asking, "What is going wrong?" Instead, he asked, "What is actually happening? What am I being shown? Can this become part of a happy lesson?" And slowly, even the caves became classrooms filled with light. May we sing, rest, and dance our way home together.